Every season, every year, it's World Series or bust for the Yankees, and it's no different in 2024. So let's talk to New York Post Yankees beat writer Greg Joyce about the expectations, the injuries, and everything heading into the Bombers' new season. My man, darker than me. You've been in what, Florida, Mexico, now you're in Houston. What's happening, man? How are you, Greg Joyce?
Good, Brandon. How you doing? Yeah, these guys have been all around. So that's almost just about ready to start the season.
All right, we got a new season upon us. You're down there in Houston for that Astros series. But before we get into that, let's talk about Hal Steinbrenner and how he said there's more pressure on all of us when talking about heading into this season. Who would you say has the most pressure on them to perform this season? Carlos Rodon, Aaron Judge, or Aaron Boone, and why?
Yeah, I think there's certainly pressure on all those guys. I would say probably Carlos Rodon stands out the most just because, I mean, there is going to be pressure on him no matter what entering this season just because of how tough of a year his first year was last year. But especially with Gerrit Cole, being out, he's going to miss at least the first 2 months with that elbow injury. So they really need Rodon to step up and pitch like the pitcher that they're paying him to be. His first year in the Bronx was brutal because of injuries. And then when he was healthy, he just, didn't perform up to anywhere close to his or the Yankees' expectations for him. So they really need him to pitch like, the number 2 guy that they brought him in to be. And, 2021 and 2022, he was one of the best pitchers in the game. 2023 fell back into some of the injury issues that he's had in the past, but they really need him, one, to stay healthy. They need him out there every 5 days, but also they need him to pitch at that high level that he's capable of. The rotation had some question marks even before Cole went down, but that's, emphasized even more now that the Yankees are going to be out, at least 2 months without the AL Cy Young winner. So, Rodon's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders. The Yankees feel like he had a good spring, just kind of staying healthy, which is more than he could say last year. But they really need him to take a big step up this year.
Well, you mentioned how the pitching rotation this year is either going to be boom or bust. You wrote that in your article. You guys go to NewYorkPost.com, go check that out. So do you think that this 5-man rotation of Rodon, Stroman, Cortez, Schmidt, and Luis Gil can get it done this year, or at least for the first 2 months with Cole out?
Yes, I think they certainly have the potential to do it. Now, whether they do it, actually can do it, is another question. But, you look at the 5 guys, and 3 are former All-Stars in Rodon, Mark Stroman, and Nestor Cortez. All 3 of those guys battled some injuries last year. Stroman was an All-Star, had a great first half, and then had some injuries in the second half, whereas Rodon and Cortez were just either injured or way lower than they expected to be, performance-wise for most of the year. But all 3 of those guys have the potential to be really good pitchers. And then you look at Clark Schmidt, who threw a career-high innings last year. I think it was about 159. You figure there's another step forward for him to take this year. He felt pretty good all spring, kind of refined some pitches, and just, they've talked a lot about kind of using last year as a stepping off point for him. So they feel like there's room for him to grow there. But it's also, he's coming off such a heavy workload that you're curious to see how he responds to that. And then Luis Gil, once Cole went down, they had that competition for the fifth starter job, and they had optioned him to minor league camp, early in March just to try to give him some time, some low pressure environment to work back from Tommy John surgery they had in 2022. But, by and far, inside and outside the organization, he really opened a lot of eyes this spring, clearly won the job. So, he's going to start off as this 5th starter, seems to have, a pretty, guy's got a lot of potential if he can kind of repeat what he did this spring.
Marcus Stroman was someone they brought in during the offseason to help that pitching rotation. Juan Soto was someone that they brought in to help the bats. Let's talk about Juan Soto and this Aaron Judge duo. Could this be the best hitting duo in the majors this season? And how does bringing in a Soto help Judge this year?
Yeah, certainly got the potential to be. It's an interesting, too, because Soto's in his walk year, so there's all this pressure on him. He's in line for a huge payday next season, but, just having him and Judge back-to-back in the lineup has the potential to be, one of the most difficult, 1-2 punches for opposing pitchers to have to get through. Both have pretty good control of the strike zone, both have power, both can use all fields. So it's a pretty potent combo. If both of them are able to stay healthy, figure they can kind of feed off each other, protect each other in the lineup, and could be a pretty good combo, especially with Soto hitting in front of Judge. The ability to get on base a ton with Judge coming up next to drive him in. So they obviously need guys up and down the lineup to contribute as well, so that it's not just them two, but the two of them are two of the best, two of the top 5 hitters in the game. So that's a pretty good jumping off point for the Yankees.
Yeah, Aaron Judge, this team was severely crippled last year when he was out with injury. DJ LeMahieu right now is another injured Yankee. How has Oswaldo Cabrera looked this spring? And do you think that he could step it up in LeMahieu's absence? And is he the guy to step up for LeMahieu?
Yeah, he had he didn't look too great the first few weeks of the spring, but he seemed to turn it on over the last few weeks, started feeling more comfortable at the plate, and had some results too. So, it seems like he's going to, he was expected to play a full utility role moving all over the diamond. They really like his defensive versatility. So, as of this morning, it looked like he was going to fill in at third base, and then the Yankees just swung a trade for, a veteran infielder in John Birdie, who could be, he could move into that full-time third base job until DJ is back, whenever that is. So we'll see how it plays out. I wouldn't, maybe they use Oswaldo there tomorrow. Just, Birdie's going to be coming in into town, after this trade, but it's possible that they have Birdie fill in at third base and have Cabrera kind of move all around like they were initially hoping to, or Cabrera could man third base and Birdie can move around a little bit as well. So we'll see how that all shakes out, but they definitely have some better insurance there to deal with LeMahieu's injury as long as it lasts. We'll see. He's at the very least, the earliest he can come back is the home opener on April 5th, but we'll see how long it lasts. He's been trying to ramp up at the last few days in Tampa. It just wasn't going as quick as they hoped, so they're gonna have to kind of fill in without him.
All right, this next one was a 2-part question. Relatively healthy, what's your prediction on how this season plays out? And let's say that they do get hit with the injury bug throughout points of the long season, like all teams do. You think they have enough depth on this year's roster to keep themselves in the hunt?
Yeah, like you said, all teams deal with injuries, and we saw it last year that the Yankees weren't equipped to keep up with those injuries. They didn't have the great depth. They seem to have fortified some of that depth this offseason, but we'll see how it plays out. I think in the special section I had them finishing 92 and 70, but the caveat is that the AL East is going to be a gauntlet again, as it is most years. The Orioles are coming off of being the division champs, and they only got better bringing in Corbin Burns, and then you have the Rays, who are always find a way to be there even when they trade away guys, and the Blue Jays as well. So it's going to be a tough division, but I think when you start off with Soto and Judge in that lineup, and if they're able to stay healthy, and then it's really going to come down to the pitching. The rotation really just crumbled around Gerrit Cole last year, and now they're going to be out without him for 2 months. So they need those guys that, like I mentioned before, to step up to be able to, if and when Cole does come back, they need those guys to step up throughout the year to get them where they want to go.
All right, Greg, let's give out what I'm calling Joyce's preseason awards. I'm not really good with titles and stuff, man. I'll work on that on another day. Some of these have been good. Some of them are not. They're all from, again, guys, go check out NewYorkPost.com. Check out Greg's Yankee season preview. All right, be quick with these. Who's the player you think will have a better year than expected?
I think Anthony Volpe struggled throughout his rookie year, but he's going to be better off for that, and made some adjustments to his swing. So I think he's probably in for a big step up this year.
Who's most likely to disappoint?
I think Carlos Rodon is going to be better, but I don't know what that threshold is to where he's better versus where it's still kind of a disappointment. He has some high expectations on him this year.
Who's this year's key call-up?
I think it's Jason Dominguez. We saw what we could do last September. Now he had Tommy John surgery, so he's not going to be available till June or July, but he can be a threat when he's ready to go.
Who's the player sure to make fans grumble?
I think it's Giancarlo Stanton. He already was last year. Seems to be in a better spot this spring, but he's going to have to go prove it that he can do it.
Who, if they get injured, would be a player whose absence would hurt the most?
Well, since Cole is already injured, I'll go with Aaron Judge. They need him to be, we saw what happened last year when he went out. They need him in that lineup every day.
All right, Greg Joyce, bring some of that warm weather back up here, man, and good luck this season, man. I'm sure we'll be checking in with you a lot throughout the course of this year.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it.